I want to hear from you three about how you felt yesterday went. I know you said a little bit about it, but I want to hear the 3 things that when you left yesterday, you were like, this is going to stick with me forever. The top 3 things that you know are now ingrained into your mind that will always be a part of what you do. Oh, good.
I guess I'll start.
Yeah.
Yesterday was hard. I know that I'm going to definitely study posing families. I work primarily with kids, and I kind of do more lifestyle, so I let them do what they want for the most part. So I definitely have a lot of studying there to do. But in regards to some of the things that have really stuck with me is the nose on the glass and getting everybody up to the same level, because I love those nice sharp images and everybody with nice, bright, sparkly, sharp eyes.
Right.
And then also, we get back what we give. So if we're comfortable with our clients, and they're going to be comfortable with us because they can see it, they can feel it. Just little kids pick up on all sorts of little signals. And if we're nervous, the kids are going to act that way too. So we give what we give, we get what we give. And then it's about the connections. I can get so focused on all the actual technical stuff, but it's really about connecting with the family and seeing how the kids just adored you and they wanted to go home with you.
Yeah, they did. They did want to go home. Gabby was like, Mom, can I visit Michelle in Arizona? I want to stay at her house. It was so funny at the end. It's like hugging me all like, Mom, really, can I do it, Mom? Can I stay there next summer? I'm like, you're welcome to come anytime.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
So that's definitely, those are like the 3 major things that I'm going to be taking back besides doing a lot of studying on posing.
Good.
Yeah, yesterday was incredibly helpful, just seeing the way you interacted with the family. I think some of the big things were, again, the confidence, just having confidence in what you're doing and in projecting that to the clients.
Right.
And then the way you interacted with them, you never said smile or say cheese to get those silly smiles, but just asking him if he was married, or telling him not to smile, or guessing what they had for breakfast, or just all the little ways you were interacting with them, and not patronizing little kids, but just really having fun interacting with them. And they just really opened up to you and gave you these awesome smiles and got so comfortable with you. And so that was really great to see. And then I think also just you kept reiterating the importance of good glass, and it was really neat just to see, because I don't yet have great camera equipment to see the difference that a really nice lens makes, to think instead of going out and buying a kind of good lens to save up for a really good lens, because it does make a difference.
Yeah, and on another side note, if you can't afford them yet, rent them. There's lots of great rental companies now where you can rent a lens for like a weekend. If you have 2 or 3 shoots on a weekend, go ahead and rent the lens until you can save up and buy it. So, and especially a lens you might want to just play with that you haven't used before, or a ridiculously silly lens like a 200 2.0. Like, just have fun with that, see what it does. So, but yeah, thank you.
For me, I would say I'm now going to be looking at locations differently. I mean, this is a gorgeous house, and the lawn and the water and the background is beautiful, and I probably would have gone to that for my posing positions and not really thought about those little ugly corridors and stuff that through your lens looked amazing.
Yeah.
The lighting, the background, it was just really eye-opening to see that, not to always go for the obvious choice.
Right, and that's important to remember, and I want you to get to your other points as well, but most people will see the pretty places first, but I look for the light first. Where is the direction of light? Where am I going to have good light? And then where's color, texture, depth? So if you look out at the backyard, visually to the eye, it's beautiful. You're like, oh, it's a great view. But from a camera perspective, it's not going to be a great background. It's not going to offer us all of those things that make for a pretty background. So your other 2 things?
I would say that the number of combinations in posing that you can get just in one location, with some simple changes, you can get entirely different pictures without moving from the particular location that you're in. That was really helpful. And then also the timing limitations for the different kid ages.
Right.
That was really helpful, because I think I wasn't as tuned into how short of a attention span some of the little guys would have. And I think taking breaks is such a great idea.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you can't force a 2, 3, or 4-year-old to pull themselves together. an 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 18-year-old, they're getting tired, but they'll pull themselves together. They have a much greater awareness and control of their emotions as opposed to a 2, 3, or 4-year-old. So when you're starting to lose that age, just let it go. Give them a break, because it's probably been about 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 minutes, and they just need a release. They need to go do something else, and then they'll come back and they'll be fine. Like Noodles, you know, she was melting down, but we could pull her up, and then we need to give her a break, and then she need to go away again. And so, but yeah, it was a good day. I loved it. All right, so today you're gonna have to like really dig deep, right? And it's gonna be a little bit time consuming, but I really want you guys here and you guys at home to sit down, piece of paper. So if you're at home and you're just kind of running around in the background listening, this is the time I want you to really pay attention, get your notebook, get a pen, get somewhere quiet maybe, and just write down what makes you special, whether that's in just generally in life, in your relationships, in your work, whatever it is. Like, what do you bring to the table that's special for you? I know this is a hard question, and I don't want to go silent on you, so I'll continue to talk, but you've got to write down some things that make you special. Anything, you know, sense of humor. You make the best chocolate chip cookies, which you could serve to your clients when they come in the door because you make the best cookies, you know. What makes your work special, that kind of thing. So if I was to ask each of you, and because this is a really dig down deep question, what makes me special? Why are people going to choose me over someone else? Because most people think, a lot of people think in terms of price. Well, if I'm cheaper, they'll come to me. And it's so not true. You know, unless you're dealing with a specific price-driven customer base, maybe that's true. But this is an emotional product. It's a service. It's something way deeper than just a price-driven item. There's levels of work, there's levels of connectivity, there's so many different things built into being a professional and, you know, getting a good price for what you do. What makes you special? What's going to command that price? So, Erin, what makes you special? How do you differentiate yourself? It's the hardest question I'll ask you all day. It's tough. Nobody wants to think of themselves that way. Nobody wants to be like, you know, I'm really special because, you know, I'm really special because. I'm really special because. Write it down. I'm really special because. Say it.
That is a really hard question. I'm having a hard time coming up with anything. Maybe because I'm a good listener.
Okay, that's good. That's going to be great in consultation time. When you're sitting with mom and she wants to tell her story about her kids, you're going to be able to hear that, connect with it, take it all in, and then use it when you're doing your session, right? Because you're a good listener. You're going to retain that information. So yeah, that's awesome. Lisa?
I don't think I showed it yesterday, but I think I can project confidence.
You do, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You did.
Yeah,
so your confidence in your work and your personality. Okay, Christine?
And I would say I connect with people. I'm a safe place for them. And one of the best comments I've ever received is somebody said that they could hear the laughter in my photographs. And I thought, that's exactly what I want to capture every single time.
That's a tagline you need to have. Mm-hmm. You can hear the laughter in my images. You should be able to say that to people. Why are clients buying from you? Are they buying from you because like you're the best? Does the average consumer really know the difference between average, good, and phenomenal photography? Not really, right? And we think they do, because as photographers, we look around and we're like, oh, that work is awful. Oh, I do better work than that. You know, well, why aren't they coming to me? I'm a better photographer. In most cases, that's how we feel. Well, why is that studio down the street making so much money, and why is he driving a really nice car when their work isn't even that good? And we kind of get all like, their work's not that good. It's not about the work. I mean, it is, right? It's a byproduct. Your work needs to be good, but why are they getting maybe more business than you are? There's got to be marketing, right? The way they sell, the way they position themselves in the market. It could be price to a certain degree. Maybe you don't want that clientele. I mean, that's a really important thing to identify when you first start your business as well. Identify what your client is. We can't be all things to all people. And if you're a people pleaser, you want to be all things to all people. And if you feel like if you can't make everyone happy, you're not making anyone happy, that's a problem. I know for me, there are people who are not my client, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. You know, you have to be okay with that too. You know, you can't please everyone, or you can't, let's face it, we all can't photograph everyone in our area. So you have to identify who you want as a client, what you connect with, what your favorite thing to do is, what you feel most passionate about. You know, there's some studios that do everything. They do weddings, they do commercial, and that's great. And they may have different people in those places. If you're a small studio owner, you work independently, you may really want to decide what you want to focus on and make that your priority. And maybe you still do other things, but it's not where your main focus is. And then who is your main client? Like we talked about the other day, my ideal client is families with children ages 8 and older, because they're more established families, they've been in their homes longer. Mom and dad generally tend to have a little bit more disposable income because they're not dealing with babies and it's a new family. You know, they're a little bit more established in their careers. Mom is a little bit older, she wants to look good, she doesn't want a lifestyle type photography because that's not what I do. And there's lots of people in my area who do it and it's beautiful, it's great. It's not what I do. If you want a classic, traditional, beautiful pose portrait, you're gonna come to me. If you want a candid lifestyle, and that's okay. I get it. It's not what I do. I'm not gonna try to do that because it's not what I like. It's not what my personal preference is. So if, you know, like someone's saying, well, how would you, do running on the, and I'll do a little bit if we're in a scene where we can get that, but that's not my priority. So, and are you educating them? How are you educating your client to understand who you are as an artist, who you are as a business person, what that means for you, and why they should come to you? As artists, we really feel a lot that, well, I take really pretty pictures, so you should just come to me. And we get very emotionally tied up in our own work. Like if someone doesn't like our work, that's like a personal problem for us. You know, if a name brand soda, they have people who don't like this soda. They don't care. They have plenty of people who do, right? You might like one soda over another soda, or pop, or whatever part of the country you're in. Cola, pop, soda, I say soda. Or, there's a girl who used to work for me a long time ago used to say, Grace Gelomino was her name, great Italian woman. She said, that's why they make chocolate and vanilla, right? Vanilla's not for everyone, chocolate's not for everyone. Some people like both, great. But you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay knowing, well, not everyone is gonna like my style. Or if someone doesn't like what I do, it's not a personal attack. Because we really are so emotionally attached to our photographs. They're like a little piece of us. I call them my babies. When prints go home or I deliver prints to a client's home, I'm like, oh, I'm bringing my baby home. Like I've delivered adopted child to, I've given my child away. And it's so great to go to a client's house and see my work on the wall and know that, oh, that's its home. And so yeah, we do get emotionally attached to our work, but we need to be almost more business-minded than attached emotionally to the work. Some point, we have to cut off the emotional attachment to please buy my pretty pictures to I'm going to sell you a really beautiful portrait session and I know it's worth it because I'm really good at this and my connection with you is this and my style is this and you're going to, this is what you want. So you really have to identify that. What's your favorite thing to photograph? Market that the most. You're an expert in that. I like a little bit of niche marketing. I primarily photograph families. That's what I love. If you come to me with a baby, I'll photograph your baby, but it's not necessarily what I push anymore or what I market for. This is hard stuff. What are you selling? What are you really selling? Are you selling an 8x10? Isn't that the first question everyone asks when they call on the phone? How much is an 8x10? Do you really think that's what they want to know? But how many people do this? You know, I'm going to talk in like weird, obscure numbers, right? So it's $1. 8 by 10 is $1. Oh, well, the guy down the street's 50 cents. Well, oh, what do you do with that? Oh, that's a little too high for me. Well, that's because we actually answered the wrong question when people call. We've actually answered the wrong question. You know what? That's a great question. Thank you for calling. I'd be happy to give you pricing, but before I do that, I have a couple of questions for you. What kind of photography are you interested in? Oh, I'm interested in having my family photographed. Awesome. How many people are in your family? Oh, I have 3 children. Oh, that's great. How old are they? Oh, 2 is such a great age. Oh, 4, we love that age. Oh, or 2, oh, 2 is a handful. You know that, right? Yeah. Oh, okay, great. Are you in the area? Where do you live? You know, that kind of thing. All of a sudden, you're asking questions, and the idea of the price of this 8 by 10, which wasn't really the original question, or do you sell digital files? Let's hear that. Can I get my digital files? Is that really what they want? Maybe. I have a whole, I'm going to get into this digital file thing maybe a little bit later because I will go off on a crazy tangent. But so what are you really selling? For me, I'm selling expertise. I'm telling moms I know camera height, I know composition, I know facial angles, I know how to make you look thinner, I know which angles of your face are going to photograph best, I know how to find the best locations. I'm selling expertise. You know, and I say this, like, most hobbyists don't know this. So I'm not saying, hey, listen, your neighbor down the street who just picked up a camera at like Costco 2 weeks ago isn't any good. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is what makes me an expert is this. So if you really want a professional, these are the things you're going to be looking for. So I'm selling an expertise. You know, you're looking for a plastic surgeon. No one price shops a plastic surgeon. Just saying. No one goes for the cheapest guy. You want the best. You want the best guy who's recommended by the best people, who uses the latest, greatest technology, who is first in his class because he's an expert. Because you don't want to mess up something, right? Experience. We're selling the experience. Yesterday, we totally sold that experience. If Victoria was an actual client and she came back to me in a week to see those images, she is excited. She is like, she can't wait to come in. She can't wait to see them. Some of the kids are like, hey, can we go with you? And I'd be like, no, please don't bring 9 children to a sales session. That's a big problem. But it's the experience of, my God, it was such a great time. It was a blast. She was so great with our kids. I had a good time. I totally felt comfortable with her. So I'm selling her on the experience. I still haven't sold a print yet. My knowledge of people, of my craft, of locations in my area. That's another thing. Status. There's a lot of times I'm just plain old selling status. You know, we live in a status symbol, designer-driven society, right? And sometimes it's almost better to be the most expensive in your area, even though that can be very scary, and because you're the most expensive in your area doesn't mean you're doing the highest amount of sessions. However, when people in my area say, I have a Michele Celentano portrait, it's kind of a big deal. I hope no one in my area is watching this, my clients. But they do, they know that, you know, and it's a good thing because I work hard. They know my work is beautiful. People will tell me all the time, oh, I was at so-and-so's house the other day, and I saw a portrait, and I knew it was yours. And they had a Michele Celentano portrait. So it can be a status thing. People with money, you know, want that status thing. That's why they drive the designer cars and the high-end cars that they drive, right? That's why they dress in high-end clothes and, you know, True Religions and Miss Me and Nordstrom's and Saks Fifth Avenue and all the top places because that's what they're used to. So you almost need to become a luxury item, which in this economy is still very possible, right? I think so anyway. Customer service. You know, how do you take care of your clients? I make mistakes sometimes, fall down, things are late, but always make up for it. You know, I'm totally not perfect. I don't run this perfect little studio. I travel a lot, things get backed up. Sometimes I'm not always on target. And when that happens, like whatever I can do to make you happy. That's customer service. Customer service isn't getting it right all the time. Customer service is when you get it wrong, you do whatever it takes to make it right. Whatever it takes. How can I make this right? I'm so sorry. You know, been out traveling and my world's been turned upside down. I know that doesn't matter to you, and I know this is a little bit late. How can I make it up to you? Send a gift, whatever it takes. Identity. When people identify me with my work, they identify with a certain style of work, they identify with a certain price point. You know, so what is your identity? I still haven't sold a print yet. I'm selling all of this. This is really important. What is your brand? And this is common for a lot of photographers to change their brand or their look quite frequently. There's so much graphic design out now that's available and easy to use. And we're so like ADD that we're like, oh, let's change the logo. Oh, let's change the color scheme. Oh, you know, let's just change up the way we look. Well, if you do that too much, people, they can't identify with you. Think about the last time Tiffany changed a color or a font in their name and logo. They never do. They never will. Think about all the identifiable brands. You know, Nike doesn't change their swoop up every couple of months to like, you know, make it more modern looking. It's been the same for 30 years, right? And so I always say, look for a classic brand and a classic style that will hold up over time, that will stand the test of time. If it's modern and trendy, it's not going to stand the test of time. So I always like to go for that higher end look, a little bit more elegant, a little bit more timeless, something that in 10 years, if I'm still using, it will still hold up. Does that make sense? I know it's so easy to go, oh, look at this great background and these new cards and this polka dot background and, you know, let's change it up, you know? And you can make some minor changes, but when was the last time Coke changed their font? Never. And we're so like ADD, oh, gotta change the font, this isn't working, right? You change your fonts all the time. You know what I'm talking about. Relationships. I think I probably have driven this point home more than anything this week. Relationships. And the key thing is, if people really like you, they're gonna do business with you. You could be the best photographer in town and be a jackass. And they're like, I wouldn't wanna work with that person, you know? So price shouldn't be an issue. It's an issue if you're marketing, you know, a top-end clientele and you have lower-end clientele, you know, who really genuinely can't afford you. That's a big disconnect. But this isn't your client, and you shouldn't feel bad if they call and they go, oh, wow, that's really too expensive. I would never spend that kind of money. But I've had interesting things happen. I've had people come to me and say, you know, when I first heard about Michele and people were telling me what they spent on her portraits, I said, oh my gosh, I would never spend that kind of money on a portrait. Like, there's no way. And then for whatever reason, years later, they end up coming in, either maybe through a gift certificate or some kind of promotion I've done through my community, and they're like, I never would have thought it, but I spent it. And it turns around. It's really weird. So, because I do, there's a local theater group in my area, and they put on productions, and I'm a theater kid, you know, we talked about this. So I always donate a session and, you know, a certain kind of package for them that they raise money, people buy at a silent auction. So those people will come in because in their mind they're getting like a great deal, like they're getting it a little bit less than they normally would, but then they end up spending money and they go, you know, I know why, I know now why people spend that kind of money. Makes sense. There's a real difference. And that's what I love to hear.